So Pete Hegseth went out and just slapped the American military right straight in the face in one of the most embarrassing moments that I have ever seen in American history. A Fox News host with a bunch of white supremacist tattoos went out and tried to cosplay and act tough in front of our military. And I used to think that when George W. Bush cosplayed as a soldier and said mission accomplished, I always thought that was one of our most embarrassing moments for the military. But Pete Hegseth said, hold my drink, and he absolutely went for it. We're going to be breaking down some of these clips. I had an entirely different show planned for today, but when I seen this, I said there's no way in hell that we can't start right here and talk about this because it was one of the biggest clusterfucks that I have ever seen. And I just kept sitting there saying to myself, is this real? Like, is this really happening to us? Is this really how far that we've fallen as a country? This should have been nothing more than a satirical skit. I would have loved to have seen something like this play out on Mr. Show with Bob and David. I think they could have nailed this. But this is the real world, and this is the Secretary of War who is just absolutely flexing in front of these people. And right out of the gate, folks, I'm going to show you, and these clips won't be in order. I'm just going to show you his greatest misses, okay? His greatest flops, whatever you want to call them. We'll go through those. And then Donald Trump came out. I mean, have you ever been to a show where the opener stunk so bad and then the headliner came out and disappointed you even further? That's kind of what happened at this one. But of course, he's going to have to go off on a tirade about woke ideology. We knew this one was coming.
For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons. Based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts. We've pretended that combat arms and non-combat arms are the same thing. We've weeded out so-called toxic leaders under the guise of double-blind psychology assessments, promoting risk-averse, go-along-to-get-along conformists instead. You name it, the department did it. Foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading, and we lost our way. We became the woke department, but not anymore.
What he's basically saying right here is all the tattoos that I have under my suit, I want these to be front and center. That's basically what he's saying. He is wanting that ideology to rule the day. And again, this was just truly one of the most embarrassing moments. But so-called first, I mean, what is he even referring to right there? Is he referring to when blacks were allowed in the military? Is that what he's referring to? Is that what's going to be next, folks? Nothing will shock me. And if you've not seen any of this, then some of these clips may shock you. But he has to dig in, he has to flex, he has to act tough, and they're going to be restoring basic training to tougher than ever. Take a look.
We will not lose warfighters because we failed to train or equip them or resource them. Shame on us if we do. Train like your warriors' lives depend on it, because they do. To that point, basic training is being restored to what it should be. Scary, tough, and disciplined. We're empowering drill sergeants to instill healthy fear in new recruits, ensuring that future warfighters are forged. Yes, they can shark attack, they can toss bunks, they can swear, and yes, they can put their hands on recruits. This does not mean they can be reckless or violate the law, but they can use tried and true methods to motivate new recruits, to make them the warriors they need to be. Back to basics at basic as well.
So, healthy fear. We're going to instill healthy fear, and we're going to give generals, we're going to give sergeants the ability to just put their hands on soldiers and just be as rough as they can. And, he says, we won't let them get too far out of hand. Do you really think that people are going to hear that and pump the brakes? Do you realize that there are people that are going to say, oh boy, Pete Hegseth just gave me the green light to be the biggest son of a bitch I can be? Do you ever think there would be a moment where Pete Hegseth would say, hey, you took that one just a little bit too far? No, folks, this is absolute insanity, and he just keeps digging in and making it worse.
We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader. And it's all my E6 squad leaders ever wanted, back to that E6 rule. We let our leaders fight their formations, and then we have their back. It's very simple, yet incredibly powerful.
In other words, what he's saying here is make war crimes legal. Allow us to just go out here and attack anybody we want to for whatever reason we see fit. Don't have no silly rules of engagement. I mean, don't have anyone out there pumping the brakes. Don't have no rule of law. Don't have no due process. Let's just go out here and flex, and let's be able to get away with it. He's literally setting the stage for them to be able to do whatever they want. You got to remember, Donald Trump said when going into American cities, use full force if necessary. I want you to understand that full force if necessary means killing people. That's what that means when he says full force if necessary. This isn't me trying to be hyperbolic. This isn't me trying to sit here and get people worked up and get people scared. I think that people should focus on this and realize the level of insanity that we now have in this administration. The fact that they changed the name back to the Department of War, and they think that's some kind of flex. Now, after they said they would be the No More Wars president, oh, we're the Department of War. No, we should be the Department of Defense because we should always be trying to avoid war at all costs. But you can see just how bloodthirsty that Hegseth is, and he's wanting so bad to fit in and so bad to flex and so bad to be the tough guy that right here, out of all the moments that he had, this one has to be his most humiliating. Yeah, this dude actually said this out loud.
Should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us, they will be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, F-A-F-O. If necessary, our troops can translate that for you.
You know, at this point, he should have just went ahead and said it out loud. At this point, he's humiliated himself enough. He should have just went ahead and said it out loud. Hell, he can. He can say and do anything he wants to do. But again, that should have been a skit that would just be played out and you would laugh at it. You would see like Will Ferrell do that, and it would be kind of like, you know, I'm Ricky Bobby. You know, and if you don't like this, fuck you. That's just kind of what it should have been. But this is the real world. And they're making it very clear that their agenda is going to be front and center. And if you don't like it, you can leave. So we're going to play one more clip of Hegseth, and then we're going to morph into Trump, because I want to play this because this is pretty much what Hegseth is saying. You know what? If you don't like what we're saying, you can easily resign.
Leaders who have given decades to our great republic at great sacrifice to yourselves and to your families. But if the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. We would thank you for your service. But I suspect, I know, the overwhelming majority of you feel the opposite. These words make your hearts full. You love the War Department because you love what you do, the profession of arms. You are hereby liberated to be an apolitical, hard-charging, no-nonsense, constitutional leader that you joined the military to be.
And you know, I'm going to say something that might not be that popular to say, but you do have to realize that I'm sure there were a lot of troops sitting there going, what in the fuck are we listening to? What in the hell is this man saying? And then there are people who are going to sign up and they'll see this as, oh, hell yeah, I'm going. Oh, hell yeah, I can't wait to work for Hegseth and Trump. And those people will be excited to get in there and carry out war crimes, and they won't see anything wrong with it. I started to say earlier in the show that I really wished that a lot of those people would have just stood up and walked out simultaneously. But they make it very clear that if you walk out, you will be put out, you'll lose your rank and everything. And that's pretty much the note that Donald Trump came in on. Saying, if you don't like what I'm saying, in other words, it's going to be my way or the highway. If you don't like this, you can leave. If enough people left, then we would have Trump and his supporters all running the country and running the military. That would be a terrifying world to be in. But here he is, picking up where Hegseth left off.
I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very... Don't laugh, don't laugh. You're not allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank, there goes your future. But you just feel nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we got to loosen these guys up a little bit. So you just have a good time. But I want to thank Secretary. Fantastic job.
Now, there's people out there that will say, oh, now come on, Brando. He was just making a joke. He was just joking. But trust me, if someone had stood up and just walked out right in the middle of that, he would have put them on full blast. It would have been all over Fox News. That soldier would have been on complete blast, and they would have been mocked and ridiculed, and they would have been stripped of their rank, and they would have lost everything that they have. And that's where we're at in 2025 with Donald Trump and his cabinet of clowns. And I sat through most of Hegseth's. I didn't sit through all of Trump's because, folks, it's so nauseating to me to sit back and watch it again. I guess I should at this point extend my apologies to George Bush for thinking that he embarrassed us the most when he cosplayed as a soldier. But this was an absolute train wreck. And if you want to go watch the whole thing, you can, and you can form your own opinion. But I walked away thinking to myself that our American military, the brave men and women that have put on the uniform and went to bat for this country, deserve so much better than that. It was an absolute slap in the face. There's no other way I can slice it. I can't put a positive spin on it. Don't ask me to, because there's not one. I'm sure MAGA is excited and they're flexing at this political theater. But it was pretty much them letting you know we're going to do things the way we want to do it. Our agenda is going to be front and center. You're going to do what we say, or you're going to be out the door. And Trump did say, he kept circling back to the enemy from within. I wasn't going to play another clip, but let's at least watch this one because you'll see where he's going with this.
What they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places, and we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. We can't let these people in.
So it's a war from within. You know, in my lifetime, and I can actually remember a time in my life when I was a little kid when the Russians was the enemy. We've really flipped the script these days. But then it was the radical Islamic terrorists, and we lived through that for a long time, and they were the ones that were supposed to be coming after our way of life. And then we lived through the immigrants and that, and they're still hanging on to that one. But folks, they're morphing this into the enemy from within, and the enemy from within is you and me. It's people that disagrees with this. It's people that calls bullshit on this. We have never seen freedom of speech attacked the way that it's been attacked after we had a guy come in and say, oh, I'm bringing back free speech. I'm restoring free speech. No, he wasn't. No, he intended to come in and push his agenda to the front and everyone else and their ideas be damned. That's what he's here for. And that's what this whole clown show with Hegseth was all about, to let people know we're in charge now. But folks, they're clearly driving the point home that the enemy is from within. And I really do believe deep down that that's who they were after this entire time. Because they've got power. They've got control. They've got complete control at the moment. And they are going to do everything in their power to hold on to it. I have people ask me all the time, Brando, will we have a midterms? Brando, will we have a 2028 election? And I have to be honest with you, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. We should never be at this place in American history, but we are. And history is watching. And like the old song says, which side are you on? How do you want to be remembered when this is all written down in the history books? Because people are going to look back and study this time. And they may pull up random tweets of people on the internet that were sitting back cheering this bullshit. So what I've always said is that this platform stands for a group of people who didn't buy into the bullshit. And my children and my grandchildren will know that we didn't fall for it. History's watching, folks. It really is. And which side are you on?